Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever, whenever that you may be tuning in. This is Yonks, and today is a very special day. This is something that we've been talking about for a little while. I don't know how much we've had publicized those conversations, but this is our launch event for We Own Network as a Wyoming unincorporated nonprofit association, and expecting to get some traction coming up here in April with the launch of our forthcoming Kickstarter campaign. But let's go ahead and I'm going to do a screen share here. We've got a thumbnail that Coach LFG created for us. Thank you for that, Mike. All righty. So, talking about let's do some real quick intros since this is a monumental occasion for us. Would you like to kick that off, Tyler, and kind of facilitate some round robin conversations as far as for our intros?
Uh, sure. Sure. So I am Tyler. I am a mother to a very busy 4-year-old who loves to pop her head into these conversations sometimes. One of the co-founders of We Own and Retoken. Brooke, be quiet, please. And Retoken and P-Token and all the things. So, used to be a financial wholesaler and private equity broker before we started running down the crypto rabbit hole, and been really excited about cooperative ownership and agentic AI and all the ways that Brooke, be quiet, and all the ways that we can build the future together.
Well, I'm not sure. Tyler might be occupied. Why don't you do a real quick intro? I am Lotus, and she's been building with us the longest.
Tyler did talk. I heard her.
No, I did too, but I was hoping that she could facilitate the intros. But go ahead, Lotus,
Okay.
give us a quick intro.
Hi guys. This is Lotus. I've been with this team for what, four years already or more. But anyway, we've constantly evolved, and since a lot of the regulations should and would come into light soon, we're really excited to pivot to this tokenization of the assets. So it's for ownership uh, and control and, you know, what you call this decentralization. So thank you guys, and hope you join us. Bye.
Thanks, Lotus. All righty, over to you, Mike, Coach LFG.
So, I am Coach LFG, Mike. I am the content maestro and head of business development for We Own and OCPA Group, and I'm the man of many hats, and I'm just excited to take this to another level. And while I'm learning, at the same time, be able to give it all I got and make this happen. So that's all I got.
Love that, love that. And we're also joined with Shahid. Open up your mic, Shahid, if you would like to do a real quick intro.
Yeah, sure. So, um, hi everyone, I'm Shahid and I'm a senior software engineer with over 8 years of experience in backend architecture and agentic AI, and currently focused on the intersection of DevOps and agentic AI. I have been heavily involved in the Wyoming ecosystem, especially managing infrastructure and deployments for projects like Burnout Advisor and scaling AI driven content tools. And my expertise lies in building high performance systems with Python and Django, while my recent work centers on developing autonomous AI agent and RAG applications that bridge the gap between complex engineering and real world business automation. Yeah, I'm excited to bring that mix of technical depth and agentic innovation to our discussion today. Yeah, thank you.
All righty. Thanks everybody for the intros. And I'm going to just lean forward a little bit and talk about the meme lord at work here. Looking forward to having some more fun with P-Tax, P-Token, Pay Less Tax. We've got a whole smorgasbord of brands. And one of the things that was just talking about here before we went live, and this is something that Tyler can attest, is we were having some conversations about where we want our community home to be. And I absolutely love Felg, fun, earning, learning, and giving. And just literally like an hour ago, and probably not even an hour ago, registered felg.life and felglife.com and felglife.org, and that's something that I'm excited to bring some fun, earning, learning, and giving, and really cement that as far as a cultural foundation within our ecosystem. So let me actually do a screen share here. And I'm not going to spend too much time on our environment where we're doing the stuff at, but am going to lift up the kitchen a little bit here where most of the stuff gets done. So this is anything LLM, and this is on my home instance here at YonksTEAM, ai.yonksteam.xyz. And I'm going to just put in a real quick thing here, and we'll see. Let's see what it says. We started here at 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock Eastern time, and I'm in Mountain time. So let's see what's on the agenda for our live stream. And I'm going to just ask my AI agent here. I'm telling it that our live stream is currently underway and see what's on the agenda. I'm not even going to rewind here what it showed earlier. While it's doing its thinking there, I am going to bounce over here real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this particular project, but I did create a project here as a component of the transition from Web3 Freedom Club over to We Own Network. And the thing that's great about, and let me actually just throw this in a link here on the live stream. So here is our project 46 for this We Own Net transition. And there's the link there. So that'll come in for you all. Okay, so I'm not going to unpack this. This is a work in progress, but let's actually go back over here to my agent. So we are live. We are live streaming on 6 different channels: LinkedIn, YouTube, several channels on YouTube, X, several channels on X, and the Yonks Team Facebook page. And this is something that we will work on getting. I'm not even going to unpack the whole Facebook stuff, but that's another conversation for another day. So, stream agenda. Welcome to the official launch. Who are we? So here, who we are. Our ecosystem tagline is real estate and cooperative ownership for everyone. We are an inclusive community, but we are also by invitation only. And this is one of the things that we're working on, establishing the workflow around what that's going to look like. And it's largely going to be driven through our contributor code convention, something I was talking about, not going to go any deeper on that. And one of the things that Tyler and I think is a huge differentiator with us is we really want to shrink the wealth gap. As a flag waving patriot here in the United States, and as somebody that has become increasingly fond of history And this is something that we, by way of our book club, unpacked was principles for dealing with the changes, new changes of the world order, or something like that. A Ray Dalio book. And for those of you that may or may not be familiar with Ray Dalio, but anyway, one of the things that was one of the big takeaways for me in that book, whenever the wealth gap widens too much, civil war tends to erupt and really disrupt civilization. And I think that any of us that are here in the United States, and you probably see that maybe amplified in different ways globally, can see that the unrest here in the United States has been occurring, especially here in the last 5 to 10 years. So I'm not going to go any deeper around that. But this is where we really want to create better societal mechanisms with different models, better business models, better societal models than what exists today. So, that being said, is there anything else that you would like to chime in on some of that ethos, Tyler, as far as real estate and cooperative ownership for everyone?
Just realizing how much of a global problem this is. I was actually on the phone with a guy in the Netherlands this morning, runs an international network, and he was talking about how the same problems we're trying to solve here are highly problematic all over Europe too. So just realizing what a global solution we're building here.
Well, and let's just unpack a simple fact. A simple fact is that real estate has been used as a store of value through one of the biggest run-ups of wealth in the history of humanity. And you don't have to look any further that I think the numbers, two-thirds of the wealth globally has been stored in real estate. And that's been some of the driving problems that makes housing increasingly affordable, is because I'm not, so that's one problem, one opportunity to do a better job. And that's one of the things that I think is really exciting about real estate and the tokenization, digital assets, is that that provides more fluidity around real estate than what has existed in the past. So, like, one of the things that you will hear me talk about, I believe here in 2026, we just started this quarter century. In 2026. And one thing that I like to say, there's two races underway, at least from my perspective as a technologist. The first one is the race towards tokenizing real world assets, primarily real estate. Just talked a little bit about that. I've got a very simple thesis that once a real estate asset is tokenized, I would say probably maybe over 99% of the time, it will likely never be detokenized. So I'm not even going to unpack, because there's multiple different ways to reflect tokenization, whether it's one to one or one to multiple. So that's another conversation for another day. So that's race number one, tokenizing real world assets into a digital asset representation. And that's really the ethos, like right now, of P token assets, is that we want to be a gold standard around tokenizing real world assets. And P token is quite simply a truncation for property token. And whether it's real estate or local businesses, again, allowing that value to be reflected through the tokenization of that particular asset. So that's number one. And number two, something that we're absolutely baking into our ethos here within the We Own ecosystem is ownership and cooperative ownership. And a very simple belief that I have, for most people on planet Earth, an extra $500 a month is life-changing money. And I'm very excited here. Right now, we're ramping up our conversations where we're tracking towards an April 15th launch event, F Tax Day, as in we're going to proclaim F Tax Day on April 15th, International Forget Tax Day. And if you're wondering, absolutely, meme and pun intended with F-Tax. So anyway, that's going to be an April 15th, an IRL party on. And why is that strategic? Well, on April 14th, the day before, is actually when we're going to launch our Kickstarter campaign that's going to run until May 17th. So this is really going to be the mechanism through the We Own AI book of how somebody's going to be able to on board into our ecosystem, you will have to own the book, and it's going to be a subscription model. This is going to be where there's going to be elevated utility, because you think about, like, I don't know about you all, but love books. We've been hosting a Saturday morning book club, and it's getting close, Lotus, here to almost 5 years, 2021. And you're there at the very early, because these conversations were really born out of Clubhouse in quarter 2 of 2021. So anyway, we own book, we own AI book is going to be the mechanism of how that you will be able to join We Own Network as a cooperative member. And this is one of the things that we're going to be establishing that workflow using agentic AI to help that process along the way. So anyway, let's take a look. I'm going to go fire my screen share back up and see what else we can talk about. So why today? So why today? 3/26/26. It's the 26th day of March. And fast forward 6/26, 9/26, and 12/26. We're all going to do something special on each of those days, 3, 6, 9, and 12. So we really wanted to use this. I've got plenty of stuff to do. I love having conversations. I love live streaming. But make no mistake, I've got a long list of stuff. Like, anyway, so what is We Own Season 3? So this is our third season, and we are operating on the same academic calendar. So here, right now, we are in season 3, and our season is going to end at the end of May. So you think about, like, people graduating school, finishing school, and then season 4 is going to start in June. So it's approximately 17, or not approximately, it's actually 17 weeks. And there may be one season or something. Anyway, 17 weeks, 4 months. Season 4 is going to be starting here in July. And I think it actually ends up working out. I'm going to look at my Google Calendar here on my phone. If I remember correctly, I think May 31st is actually the last day. So June 1st is actually going to be day 1 of season 4 within our ecosystem. So and you can see here, 17-week sprint. So let me make this a little bigger here for you all. Bouncing down. All right, so let's see here. We've got, boy, I need to pick up the pace. We've got a few segments here. So, segment 2, what is WeOwnNet, the tagline? We already talked a little bit about that. Not a company, not investors, not shareholders. Members own it. And that is absolutely the case for WeOwnNet, which we will be, is as of today, an unincorporated nonprofit association. Now, we will absolutely have on-chain cooperatives within our ecosystem that we will allow cooperative members to be an investor in. And before our Kickstarter campaign concludes here on May 17th, we're actually planning before or at Consensus in Miami on May 5th, 6th, and 7th to launch our WeFunder campaign. All right, so Rochdale Principles, 175-year-old cooperative framework proven model. And how long have we been talking about cooperatives, Tyler?
Since we realized that we were renting Airbnbs and cars to people for weeks, months, years, and we couldn't give them any equity, and that's when it started.
Yes, and one of the domains, we still have ev.coop, right?
Which one was it?
EV as in electric
Oh,
vehicle.
yeah, EV Winco. Yeah, we have that somewhere.
So invitation only, talked a little bit about that. Inclusive community by invitation only. Ecosystem, we've definitely got more than 20 brands, but that's just the ones that showed up in relative context here right now. So talking about Wyoming UNA Unincorporated Nonprofit Association, flexible, member governed, and then when we have 100 cooperative members on board through the We Own AI book, likely via our Kickstarter campaign, that's when we can flip the switch, and it'll happen automatically. That'll actually be baked into our manifesto or whatever it is that we end up calling it. So greater than 100 members right there. And this is something that we will put forward as a vote, whether we want to make the seek the IRS designation as a 501c4. So here's the already showed you all the project winding down the Legacy Web3 Freedom Club. And I'm not going to unpack here the history of why that we didn't lean into We Own earlier, but there's absolutely some history there. So We Own ecosystem. Right now, we have the highest amount of people on our team under the We Own Dev umbrella, on-chain cooperative within our ecosystem. And you can see here, it's a developer cooperative. And that's really the ecosystem mechanism where we will reward compensation to our dev team. Burned out media. Anybody that's been around me any amount of time here in 2026, I will absolutely go on the record, which we are right now, in a test of getting niche slapped by Alex Hormozy when Tyler and I were road tripping from Colorado to South Dakota to Ohio during Christmas break here 2025, and listen to that audiobook. And I think that that's the longest amount of time that it took us to unpack a fairly short book via our book club. It literally took the pretty much the entirety of March or quarter 1 to listen to $100 million offers, but that's really because it's a playbook. But Tyler Lotus, do you want to reflect on listening to $100 million offers and me talking about getting niche slapped by Alex Hermosi? Nope, I don't see any one of them open up their mic, so we'll get back here to our agenda. So, burned out media. So, targeting having a retreat coming up here in third or fourth week of July, and then for burned out CPA for accountants, bookkeepers, tax preparers, etc. Retreat coming up here after the extension filers in October. It'll actually probably be the early November, second week of November, somewhere around there. So, CCC Botnet, this is our contributor governance and attribution. So, this is a way that we're going to create, when I talk about slicing pie, this is going to be our agentic AI enabled meritocracy model where every attribution, every contribution that you will make will be associated with a CCC ID. And I'm also moving down the list, very excited about JamesNet. This is really our observability foundation for elevating our hybrid architecture. One of the things that I absolutely believe is going to happen is that compute is going to get less and less expensive, and it's going to be moving closer and closer to where that compute should get consumed. So imagine a local business. Instead of like the local business going to the cloud, they could have a local little box, and then we can, through our hybrid architecture, create resiliency and disaster recovery that most small businesses don't have the opportunity of having because most models don't make it effective. I believe with our independent agency model that we're building here for AI coaches and consultants, that it will be absolutely viable for our independent coaches and consultants to work kneecap to kneecap, business to business, individual to business owner, as far as establishing the hybrid architecture where they can best serve their customers and their employees with better technology. So, events. I absolutely love going to events. And thank you, Tyler, for making Miami happen here for Future Proof and Citywide. That was an amazing conference. It was literally the first conference that I went to where it was on the beach. And one of the things that we need to decide here, Tyler, is are we going to, and I think it's called Future Proof Festival that's coming up here in September. And I think that one's also on the beach on the West Coast instead of here on the East Coast that Miami Beach was, Huntington Beach. So we can talk more about that later, but I have absolutely been saying for a while, as far as when you simplify our go-to-market strategy, we're going to be building from event to event. And this is something that talked a little bit earlier about with consensus coming up here in May. And then I'm also very excited about AI CPA in Las Vegas, right there in Mike's backyard. And you want to share anything about some of your takeaways from digital CPA that we were at there in Washington, D.C., Coach?
I actually, besides it being freezing cold, I mean, it was it was amazing. Like my first conference, I actually met a lot of new people. I was super intimidated at first because like you look at the people and I kind of looked like you say the outcast of the group, but we got a lot of good good conversations, good connections, really, really good connections actually. And I was actually really happy with that whole conference. It was structured very well. Food was great. Meetings were great. People were great. So it was definitely a experience.
Yeah, it was definitely very well run. So also share for everybody that wasn't there, how much was AI a talking point at Digital CPA?
So everything was about AI. Uh, but then you go to the other conference that we went to, and it seemed like the AI that was going on there was very low level. Um, didn't have no real structure. It was like plain Jane. Like so, yeah, it was definitely night and day. But to see digital CPA, how much they are leaning into AI is actually wild. It kind of looked like a digital, like yeah, like an AI CPA conference. That's kind of the feel that it had because I'd say 70% of the people that were there were talking about AI, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and I don't have to spend too long having conversations with people around the four professional verticals that we're intentionally targeting through Burned Out: financial advisors, CPAs, real estate professionals, and attorneys. Don't have to spend too much time convincing where everybody's like, yeah, those are some professions that are absolutely going to look very different here in the very near term than they did historically speaking, because these professionals have quite literally been gatekeepers to knowledge. And the one out of all those four verticals that I'm personally most excited about is CPAs. And this is something that Tyler can absolutely attest to. Out of these four verticals, CPAs is the only vertical of a professional that gets a slice of the Yonks team household budget every single year. And that's quite simply because we view accountants as IRS audit insurance. And I suspect that it's only a matter of time, not if, but when we will be audited. But the best audit is the one that never happens. So, again, I hope to never be audited, but that's why we have been religiously hiring a CPA. So, and when you unpack like accounting compliance and legal compliance are a foundational aspect of running a successful and long-term viable business. So, anyway, did you want to share any more thoughts on that, Tyler? Don't see a mic opening up, so we will keep the flow going. All right. So, talked about events, P Token Agency. That's our marketing arm for our brands and our independent agency owners. And on here, I've got We Own Florida. We've also got some other state cooperatives, and we will likely be ramping up. All We've got 10 states that we're targeting in our top 10 list out of the 50 here in the United States. So, what we're building in April 2026, 0 to 100. So this is where we're finally creating the opportunity to onboard our first 100 pilot users into We Own AI Lite. And we're also going to be offering a burned out advisor retreat bundle. So you think a VIP done for you sort of dynamic with the retreat bundle, and then an entry level sort of dynamic, like a $5,000 retreat bundle and then a $47 a month. And we're going to be capping that here at 100 people. So that's something the people that get in between now and our Kickstarter launch. And depending on if we reach that milestone by the Kickstarter launch, otherwise, we might allow some people to come in through the Kickstarter campaign as well. So, Burned Out Advisors, we just went through and did a very thorough update on that project. Again, that's on our GitHub as well. So focus is absolutely 0 to 100 and those two projects. And then our Kickstarter project, We Own AI, the book, as I mentioned, that's going to be how people join the We Own network, our ecosystem. All right, how to join, invitation only. So this will change a little bit because the Kickstarter is not going to be invitation only, of course, but there's going to be some mechanisms for our independent agency owners that come on board to benefit from that. That's something that we'll work on from a technology standpoint. We've got the Luma event here. Subscribe to our Luma calendar. I'm not going to do the link for that. Follow WeOwnNet. I just updated the WeOwnNets on Twitter, on X here. And here again, Felg culture, fun, earning, learning, and giving. All right, so Q&A. What questions do you have about cooperative ownership? And this is something that I'm going to stop the screen share here and see if there's anybody on that has any questions. Otherwise, we will wrap up our launch event. And I'm going to just take a look here. I don't see any questions on the restream, and I'm just doing a refresh here real quick. But other than that, did anybody else want to chime in? Any thoughts here? Coach, LFG, Shahid, or Tyler, before we bring today's live stream, our launch of it, to a close?
No, sir. That's all I got.
Well, look, I'm going to give some applause. I'm going to give some, oh, wait, I need to do that. Look at this. Some rockets, some poppers, some hearts. Let's give some, and I see some hearts from Shahid. We'll give some stars. We'll give some guitars. Let's see what else we can give up here. What other emojis do we have? How about some flying pizzas for my friends at Pizza Dow? All righty. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back for another episode of Flows Bros here on similar channels very soon.